Welcome back to my channel. My name is Adrienne and today we're going to talk about all the books that I read in September. I have to show you my shirt. Introverted but willing to discuss books. That's my personality. It's the books that I completed in September, which was actually only 5. I don't know what happened. I'm actually very startled by that number because now I'm back behind on my Goodreads goal. I'm gonna have to make it up in October, which if you haven't seen my October TBR, go watch it because there's lots of scary books coming up. And I just did a little chart and I'll have to read about 150 pages per day to complete my October TBR, which sounds impossible. But if you're going to want to hear about all those scary October reads, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing multiple reading vlogs this month so we can be scared together and experience how much fun it's going to be. So this is the 3rd month in a row that this is the first author I read of the month. You Are Not Alone by Vera Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I have been loving these 2 authors' books. They are domestic thrillers, usually feel pretty low stakes, but just like dramatic and fun. This one is about our main character whose life just like isn't going her way right now. She got fired from her job. She's in love with her roommate who has a girlfriend. Her best friend had a baby and like moved away, so she barely gets to see her. So she's just very isolated and alone. And then one day while waiting for the subway, a woman jumps in front of the subway, commits suicide right in front of her. So she's obviously traumatized by that. She can no longer ride the subway, so like her life is just even more awful now. And she's very intrigued in why this woman killed herself. So she starts inserting herself places to like get more information about her, and she ends up interacting with the dead woman's friends, and then the friends start bringing her into the circle and she loves them and wants to be their friend and wants to like become a part of this group. But then we know as the reader that the group has to do with why this woman killed herself. It's very fun. I haven't given them any 5 stars yet because there's nothing mind-blowing going on, but they're so much fun. And once again, as in their other 2 books, they have a woman who's like kind of obsessed with other women because like they seem professional and successful and they have better lives than her. So it's like 3 books in a row where a woman is obsessed or enamored, infatuated with other women who are like doing better than her. So yeah, I think I gave this 4 stars, maybe my favorite book of theirs so far. And then I know they have a new book coming out. Is it The Therapist or The Golden Couple? Can't wait to read that when it comes out. Next was a super random pick. I had no intention of reading this in September, but then the audiobook was available. And the audiobook for this is so good. The narrator mainly does an American accent. I don't know if she is Nigerian or something, but she can do the Nigerian accents very, very well. And it's like, her voice is beautiful. But this book is set in Lagos, Nigeria, and it's about a woman whose sister has killed multiple boyfriends, and each time she says it's self-defense. She was just protecting herself, it's not her fault. So the main character helps her clean it up so that her sister doesn't get in trouble. They don't have to explain it to the police, and she helps her. But then after the 3rd one, where it's like, okay, technically you're a serial killer now because you've murdered 3 people, then her sister gets a crush on the main character's crush, a doctor at the hospital that she works in. And so now she's like, one, upset that the guy likes her sister, but then also she's like, is my sister gonna kill him too? Like, she just kills everybody, now she has to kill my crush too. So she's worried about that, protecting her sister versus protecting the guy she has a crush on. And it's just a great time. The main character was just like interesting, and we also learn a lot about their past and how their dynamic got this way, like because of their family and their father. It's very good, and I would highly suggest the audiobook. Then I read The Hiding Place by CJ Tudor. It's my 2nd CJ Tudor book. I love the atmosphere of the 2 books that I've read by her. It's like small town, fall, like cozy vibes. This one follows a man who wants to get a job at the high school that he went to in his hometown. And he moves back to his hometown, and he's lying and faking his resume just to get hired back at the school. And we're finding out why he so desperately wants to be back at the school. Talks about the gang of kids that he used to be in, and one of their friends committed suicide, so we're finding out more about that. And he also moves into the recently emptied home of the former teacher whose spot he's filling, because she murdered her teenage son and killed herself, and then wrote in blood on the wall, "Not my son." So we're finding out more about that and how that might relate to something that happened in their past, and it's spooky and weird, and he's also trying to make money to pay back his gambling debts. It was a good time. It is such a fall reading experience, and I highly recommend this or The Chalk Man for fall reading. But then I also saw in multiple Goodreads reviews that CJ Tudor is just like knocking off Stephen King, so maybe this means I want to read a Stephen King book. What is your favorite Stephen King book? Because I've read 5 or 6 or 7 and didn't really love any of them, but I wasn't reading his popular books. So what would you recommend for a Stephen King newbie, or what's your favorite Stephen King book? I'd love to know. Then worst book of the month. Wild Card by Marie Lu, which is the sequel to Warcraft, which is a virtual reality game where our main character, Amika Chen, is a hacker, and she hacks into this world tournament of Warcraft, gets caught, and then the creator of the game hires her to be a bounty hunter and find this other hacker who's hacking into stuff. So this is the sequel. It picks up after the events of the first book, which I can't tell you, but it's actually very reminiscent of Ready Player 2, the sequel to Ready Player 1, and how it's like the first book was about the game, and now the next book is about like how the internet affects the world and how that could be corrupted. But this book was so boring. Good grief, so boring. The main character has no personality, no thoughts of her own. Any decision that she makes is actually just the decisions other people made for her. For some reason, she actually thinks that she's intelligent, so something will be going on that she had no clue. Was either not what she thought, or like something nefarious was actually going on. And then when we all, us, her, the other characters in the scene, realize what's going on, she's like, I realized what was happening before anyone said anything. Before anyone said anything, I realized what was going on. There's literally that sentence 5+ times. It's like, yeah, we all realize what just happened because we're all witnessing it right now. It's just weird the way it's phrased. Like, does she really think she's cracking the code right now? Like, it was just handed to us. There's like 2 different groups of people with 2 different purposes, and she's bouncing back and forth on over which one she should be following or with or believe in. And each time it's like someone from the group is like, hey, this is why we're doing this, and she's like, yeah, that makes sense, I'm gonna follow them. Every time, like, she has no thoughts of her own, and she ends up being wrong for most of the book. But also she has more power in her hands than anyone else, and she literally has the fate of the world in her hands, but she's the dumbest person. So it was very frustrating and disappointing, and I don't like it at all. And I don't recommend it. Even if you read Warcross and loved it, so did I. I reread Warcross recently, still enjoyed it. This is garbage. I'm so sorry, Marie Lu. This is garbage. Wait, actually, that just reminded me. I think it was this book. I read a review for this book a long time ago, which is why I hadn't read the sequel yet, because I wasn't enthusiastically looking forward to it anymore because I'd seen a bunch of bad reviews. There was a review before that said, I want Marie Lu to carry the casket at my funeral so she can let me down one last time. That's hilarious. I don't know if that's like a normal phrase or if that person just said it, but yes, huge letdown. And then finally, I actually just finished this book so I could record this video. The Final Revival of Opal and Nev by Donnie Walton. I've been reading this book all year. I've been talking about it for so long and putting it on every TBR, and now I finally finished it and can stop talking about it. The Final Revival of Opal and Nev follows this duo from the 70s, Nev and Opal. Opal is this black woman. She's bald and ugly, but just powerful and interesting and a legend, an icon. Nev is like Ed Sheeran, basically, in my mind. He looks like Ed Sheeran. He sounds like Ed Sheeran. But he writes rock music for him and Nev, or him and Opal. We follow their story from them first meeting through their 2 albums, and then also a big tragedy that happened that was terrible but also made them more famous. So the book is narrated by the daughter of Jimmy Curtis, who how do I even explain this? The book is narrated by Sunny. Sunny is the daughter of Jimmy Curtis. Jimmy Curtis was Opal and Nev's drummer, who Opal had an affair with and was having an affair with when he died protecting Opal on stage at the Rivington Showcase, which like things went awry in a racially fueled violent, basically. So this book has some focus on music, but then also a very heavy-handed theme of race, and a lot of it was great. The first half, amazing, and I've read the first half 2 times. It's fantastic. There's a big surprise in the middle, like made me gasp in awe, but then it took a bad turn. One of my problems with this book is that the characters, Opal and Nev, were so powerful, well developed, but then Sunny, the narrator of this book, who's doing the interviews, is just a nuisance. Like, why is she here? She's annoying. The book is told in interview format, but then with footnotes and author notes from the author, Sunny, which really made it feel like the author was bothering me. Like the fake author, but it felt like it was the real author. Like, stop talking. I want to hear these people's stories, and now you have to insert this paragraph of extra information in the footnotes. It was very unnecessary, and I wanted her to just be quiet and let me hear about Opal and Nev. And I feel like Opal is this powerful, interesting, wonderful human that never got what she deserved, basically, because she, I don't know, things went awry for her. She never was like the superstar that she could have been. And it was like, even in this book, with the narrator interrupting every 5 seconds, like, she still didn't get everything that she deserved because you were bothering us. And there was something a bit heavy-handed about the racial discussion. Some of the characters, like side characters, random people who were just there for effect, like, it was very much felt like white people are bad, black people are cool and good, and it felt very divided like that, sort of. Like, they were caricatures. They were only there to deliver like the message she was sending, but there's no nuance in, it's not so black and white, literally not so black and white. And there weren't that many characters that were developed, and there weren't many dynamics in the relationships. I don't know. I feel like it is 4 stars. Like, I enjoyed some of this so much and the things it was saying, but then other parts were just upsetting me. It didn't feel real sometimes. Whenever I read a book that's in interview format, it feels so real, but there were clunky parts of it that just took me out of the story and made it not feel real at all. So that's that. I still would highly recommend it. I'm sorry, Opal and Nev. And also, I just read the last 15 pages before this video, which was like the worst part of the whole book, which put me in a bad mood to talk about. Like, I wish I would have been reviewing this after reading the first half, because that was amazing. But I still highly recommend. It is a really good book, and I will try something else by Donnie Moulton in the future. So that is it. Here are all the books that I read in September. What was the favorite book that you read in September? What are your reading plans for October? Are you also planning on being terrified in October like I am? Because that's all I want. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.